Hi, good
Hi,
morning.
Zuzana. Nice to see you. I'm very happy to
Yeah,
see
nice
you
seeing you
today.
too.
Yes, finally we could organize our meeting, and today I'm hosting Zuzana, and we are going to talk about her life in Zambia and about relationship with Zambian families. I'm very curious to listen to her and to learn more about this beautiful country. It's my dream to go to Africa, so hopefully one day I will meet you there.
Yes,
And
I hope so. We always need more visitors, so you're most welcome.
yes, sure, sure. I'm sure I will come. And first of all, I would like to ask you to introduce a little bit yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? So that our listeners know you a little bit better.
Yeah, good morning and maybe good afternoon to everybody who is watching. I am Zuzana Mukumai Filipova. I'm originally from the Czech Republic, but I have been living in Africa for the past 12 years. Right now, it's Zambia for, I think, almost 8 years. I am a relationship coach for women who have a partner from different culture, because that's also my case. My husband is Zambian, and this is what I do. I want to have a world where intercultural relationships are normal, when nobody is surprised and there is no racism. So this is what I do, and a bit a beginning about me. I'm sure we will get to talk about more about what I'm doing here, my story. Yeah, so thank you, Laura, for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thanks again for accepting my invitation. And it's really nice what you are doing because what we are doing, both of us, it's actually a little bit similar. And I think it's very important to show the beauty of intercultural relation. It's not only about problems, about difficulties. It's also, I think it's amazing to see so many women who are in intercultural relations. So all my support is actually for them. And I'm very happy that you are doing such a useful thing for them. And I will, okay, you will tell more about it maybe during the interview. And I would like to ask you, why did you choose Africa? Were you interested in African countries before? Because I'm kind of curious. Why Africa?
Well, I was laughing because I actually never wanted to go to Africa. I was never interested in it. I always loved traveling, and my dream was Mongolia. So I was always attracted to either to the north, like Sweden, this kind of countries, or the East Asia, like Mongolia, or like those countries there. How we have plans and life happens. So at that time I was quite young. I was studying. I was living in Sweden at that time as an Erasmus student, and I met my now now it's an ex-boyfriend, but at that time it was my biggest intercultural relationship. So I was with an Italian guy for almost 7 years, and he loved Africa. So he was the kind of person going to Africa like since he was 18, and I was young. I was excited about traveling, and when he got his first job in Africa, I came to visit. Then I saw it was actually nice, and then when I finished my bachelor degree, I moved into Uganda.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really amazing how you ended up in Africa because you were interested in Mongolia. Actually, it's also very interesting country, I think, for to visit it. It's not very touristic, I think. So I think you lived in Mongolia as well.
I actually did, and that's why I always say it's so important to have dreams, because even sometimes we have no idea how our dreams will come true. I think the universe somehow works for us. So actually, it was in the beginning of the relationship with my husband, who is from Zambia. It was a new relationship. I just moved back to Zambia. And I was struggling to find a job at the time. And then I started sending my curriculums everywhere. And I got a job in Mongolia. So I lived there for 6 months. Since January, it was minus 32 degrees. So when I came from Zambia, it was super hot. And then I changed to minus 32. And I was there for 6 months up to the summer.
Yeah, that's really extreme. But how did you like Mongolia?
I loved it. Like for me, it has been 5 years since I left there, but I think of it almost every day because I felt somehow connected to the country, and it's beautiful country. The people are really amazing, and I had the chance. I lived in Ulaanbaatar in the capital, so I had the chance to see how is the life in the big city. But I also work in the very remote areas, like very east part of Mongolia, almost at the borders with China. And I visited like the normal families, the nomadic families, and it was just amazing. Like I hope I will be back one day.
Yeah, I'm sure it was really special, and I think we should meet again to talk more about Mongolia and other places you stayed, because it's always interesting to listen different stories, and especially you live there in remote areas. I think not so many people went there, and there are not so much information about this country, unfortunately. So I would be very happy to know more, but today we will talk more about Zambia, about your relationship. Tell me, please, how did you meet your husband? My most popular question to all the girls, because you have a very special, very nice love story. So can you please share it with us?
Yeah, so maybe let me start a bit also before I met my husband, because I mentioned my first African country was in Uganda, and after 2 years in Uganda, I go to Zambia. I was working in a refugee settlement here in Zambia, and I just fell in love with the country. And the story gets a bit complicated, and I spent here 1.5 years, and then I moved to Tanzania for about 9 months. But I missed Zambia so much, so I kept coming almost every 3 months, because Zambia, Tanzania is not that far. And on one of those visits, I was coming to see my friend. She's from Czech Republic. Her husband is Zambian. She used to live in the city where I live now. So I came to visit her. And on Friday night, we went out to hang out with her friends to a restaurant, and one of those two friends was my husband. So we spent we spent the evening in the restaurant. Then we went dancing, and second morning he invited me for the date. Up to now, he claims it was not a date. He claims it was just a coffee, but I think it was a date.
Yeah, I think so. He's too shy to admit it. Yeah, that's really amazing. But how fast did you understand that he is the right person with whom you would like to spend your life with, and which qualities maybe of your husband really impressed you the most?
I think I don't know actually if I thought he's the one, because at that time I was not looking like to find my husband, but like since beginning, like we could have just talk, like we spent talking whole evening, and we had so much fun dancing. And he's actually choreographer and a dancer, and I'm terrible at dancing, so I had so much fun, because it's really good to dance with him because he knows what he's doing. And we had just the similar style of humor. So we kept talking. I went back to Tanzania, and we kept talking. And yeah, I think then I was very surprised when he told me I love you for the first time, because I felt it was too early. But at some point then I knew that he's the person I want to stay with.
Yeah, that's really nice. And how long were you in a relation before you finally? I think you got married already when you got your son, when he was 1 year old.
Yeah, so,
You got married.
yeah, so we got married after, I think, now I have to calculate. Yeah, after 4 years we were together. So first we had like our baby after, yeah, three years. Then on his first birthday, we got married, so that I did it on purpose. So my husband had no reason how to forget about our wedding anniversary, because it's on our son's birthday.
Yeah, you chose the right date, I think. And you were living away from your family already for a long time, but still I would like to ask you, when you decided to marry someone from a totally different culture, what was the how did your parents react to that?
Yeah, I think the wedding itself, like it was not a big deal. Yeah. So for the relationship, like with my family concerning my husband, the game changer was when we had our son, because that's when they saw that I'm really serious, and that's when they saw that my husband is serious as well. So the wedding was not a big deal. Of course, in the beginning, like when I told them that I'm in a relationship with a Zambian man, I think they were in the period of a denial, thinking that I will change my mind and not really asking me any questions and like just kind of ignoring it. But then everything changed when we had the child.
Yeah, so they accepted your relation after they came to know that you got a child.
Yeah, and they realized that my husband is very serious, that he takes care of the family, that he loves me, basically.
Yeah, of course, that's the most important thing for all the parents, I think, to see their child happy. And you are living in Zambia already, you said 7 years.
Yeah, the first time I came, it was 2014, so it will be 8 years since I came. But I did not live here all the time. So, like living here, I am here really from 2017 when I came back from Mongolia.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, how fast did you adapt to this country? What do you like the most about Zambia? Because I prefer to start with positive points. It's always nice to talk about positivity, and then I will ask, okay, is there is something you don't like at all, or you cannot maybe adjust or accept it?
Yeah, as I said, I was coming from Uganda, so I was kind of always comparing Zambia to Uganda, and I found Zambia so much easier to talk to people. Maybe it's also because people speak more English as compared to Uganda, but it was so easy to talk to anybody, to a taxi driver, to a lady in the market, to a person in the bank, like, and people were really friendly. And what was also different from Uganda was there in Uganda, we were kind of, we live in a very like remote area, but still me and my ex-boyfriend, we were in the expat community. Meanwhile, in Zambia, most of my friends were either Zambians or Czech, there is number of Czech women here, Czech women, but who live here permanently. So it was very different, and I just felt like home somehow. And so I think the number one thing what I loved about Zambia was how easy it was to talk to people, how easy was it to make friends. And then I loved the Zambian music, and I loved the dancing. Because as I said, I'm terrible at dancing. My mom always told me that I'm not good at dancing, but then actually in Zambia we start going out, I started dancing, and it was so much fun, and nobody was like looking at you if you are dancing terribly. So that it was fun the first 1.5 years.
So, if you compare two countries, are they really different, or there are some similarity? Because I have never been to Africa, so I can't really say. Because Uganda, I don't know. I think it was very difficult in past. There were a lot of foreigners living in Uganda earlier, but I think, but it was a long time ago. I don't know how it is now. So, was it more difficult to get in touch with locals in Uganda than in Zambia, as I understood from?
Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah, in Uganda, I think it was also the big issue of the English, and also what was happening more in Uganda was like having friends, and then they end up asking for money, which then in the end you start asking yourself questions. So are they friends with me because of me, or because of like want to borrow the money? And here in Zambia, it was not like that. Nobody was asking me for money, and it was actually like the other way around. If I went out somewhere, like everybody was paying for my drinks or for my taxi. So it was very different. Of course, like I have some friends here, I could borrow them money, but you know, they are friends, and they are like, you know, that they are not friends with you just so they can borrow some money.
Yes, and something else you really loved about Zambia during these years?
what I also love is the kind of the nature, how it looks. Like I feel very connected to it. It's also very different from Uganda because Uganda is on the equator, so most of the parts are very green, lots of fruits, like this kind of tropical environment. Zambia is more south, so the nature is different. So it's more like bushes and it's also very flat. So somehow I love the nature here. It's also like every time I drive in the bus and I see it from the windows, I feel like this is home. Even if there are lots of things now which I'm not so happy about, which are annoying, which are maybe more difficult than life in Europe. But still, like every time I come back from Czech Republic to Zambia, I'm like, I'm home.
Yeah, that's the most important to feel at home, I think. And how did you adjust to the climate? I think it can be very hot in Zambia, or it's not so hot. Because in some African countries, I came to know that it's not really hot, like in Kenya, for example. It's a very pleasant climate. I don't know, how is it in Zambia? Was it difficult for you to adjust to the hot weather?
Well, I think I was used from Uganda, which is kind of hot all year round. But in Zambia, as we are a bit like more south, we are on the southern hemisphere, we actually had winter. So it's like the same way as in Australia, like their winter is in European summer. It's the same here. So, for example, in our winter is in June, July, and it can go up to like 5 or 3 degrees. So I actually have my winter jacket, my winter shoes. When I used to travel, I have my gloves actually because it can be really cold in the morning. And now we are in summer finally. So summer is September, October, which can be very hot and it's dry because it's before the rainy season starts in October. And I love actually this season. It's very hot, it's dry. If you know, I don't know if you know those trees, jacaranda trees with the purple flowers. Actually, those behind me. So they're flowering. It's beautiful. Yeah. So. I was surprised, like when people told me, no, but it's going to be cold. I was like, you're crazy, like how it can be cold in Africa, we are in Africa. And then I realized that I was freezing. The first winter, I was suffering.
Yeah, so it is the same like in South Africa actually, because they also have winter when we have summer, and okay, now it's summer and we are going to have autumn and winter. Yes, so I think it's kind of similar. Yeah, it's really amazing. Many people think that, okay, when you are in Africa or some Asian country, that it's always hot, why do you need any warm clothes? But indeed, it can be very cold in some countries and not everyone prepare for that. And if we talk about negative points, what you maybe don't like, can't accept, understand in Zambia, are there something?
Yeah. Yeah, I think lots of things which are kind of on the negative side, they came now when I have a child. So I think everything changes when we have a child, and maybe I did not pay attention to some things before, or I was just alone, so it was not that important. But for example, like what was driving me crazy this year is that people burn rubbish on their gardens. So we live in the second biggest town. So of course there is the service from the town, like you can pay for the rubbish bags, the garbage truck comes every week. But most of the people, they prefer not to do it. So they just burn their rubbish on the garden or in the ditch in front of the garden. And I'm not talking about leaves and branches and this kind of thing, but like really rubbish, like plastic bottles and all the things from the kitchen. So the pollution is actually very bad. And now when it's not rain, in the rainy season, it's quite good because nobody can burn because it's raining almost every day. But now in the dry season, like every day, it feels like everybody is burning. Like if this neighbor is not burning, then the other one is burning. And it's really, especially then when you have a child, and it's like, why we should be breathing this polluted air? So that's one thing. Which drives me crazy, especially this year. And also generally, like we are used, like from Czech Republic, that, for example, we are trained since we are small, we should never throw a rubbish on the street. We have to put it in the garbage can. But here, like, people like are, it's not like it's terribly dirty, that there is rubbish everywhere, but it's like the culture of it, it's not really there. And for example, we have a river nearby our house. It's about 20-minute walk, and I like to go there sometimes with my son to look at the water because it's quite beautiful. But then the bank is full of rubbish.
Yeah.
So this is like something like I wish it could improve.
Yes, I can understand you really well because it's the same problem in India, and when I see the rivers, I feel like crying because it's like full of rubber. Oh, it's so dirty, it's so polluted. You can't swim there, you can't really walk there, and I can't understand why people don't think about such things because now a lot of people are dying of cancer. The ecology is so bad. I think in Africa it's the same problem, and it's like you don't have red beans everywhere to throw it, and it's really sad to see it.
Yes, the other day I was sitting outside on our veranda, and there is just like a nursery school in front of us, and then suddenly somebody was burning, so like you could see the white smoke going over the school when this like 3-year-olds are playing. So, and I don't say this like really to, I don't want to sound judgmental, because we kind of in Europe, if we look at the amount of rubbish we produce, like it's much higher. It's just like we take it out of our side and like kind of to the processing factory. And in Africa, people probably produce less rubbish, but the fact that it's not processed, it's not collected, the laws are there, but nobody is upholding it. So it's, yeah, I think it would be wonderful, like us in Europe, if we could reduce our like production of rubbish, and here like people could learn how to like process it, how to make the like less air pollution, and work on these things.
Yes, of course. And if we talk about communication, you mentioned already that it was much easier for you to find friends among locals in Zambia. Or do you prefer to have friends among locals, or do you have friends among expats? How is it for you? Because I know it's very important to have friends with whom you can go out, you can call them, discuss something. I think in Europe it's very popular to meet just for a cup of coffee or tea. And could you find some really good friends? And how it's about locals? Do they communicate with expats, or they're more close? They prefer to communicate among themselves. How is it?
Yeah, so the issue of friendship, it's another whole topic. And as I said in the beginning, I had lots of friends and it was so easy. And it actually changed now, like when I got married, and now I have a problem of having like almost no friends, because like I think that time when you are young and kind of single and you go out, it's completely different life than when you are married, you are working, you have a child. And I used to have good friends in the beginning, Zambians, because as I said, I lived in the refugee settlement. So it was a very remote area, very little people. So I made friends with my colleagues, who most of them were Zambians. And they were amazing, but now like I moved to different town, they moved, so we sometimes keep in touch over WhatsApp, but I don't really get to see them. And finding friends now, like the challenge here is that I got some friends. We used to hang out, like usually like other moms with kids, Zambian moms, but then they kind of disappear or stop responding, and that really got me missing those kind of friends like I have in Czech Republic, those I know from high school. And even if I don't hear from them 3 months, I know when I come to Czech Republic, we can talk like there was no break in between. So I really miss those good friends. Like I don't have that right now. We have some people like we meet, but it's quite lonely, and we are in the town. And I think it's also because like at this age, like people have their own families, their own lives, and they don't make it priority, I think, to meet new people. And maybe just to add on your question, like you were asking if I was friends more with expats or Zambians. So I don't consider myself an expat. So I'm somebody who lives here, and
Yes.
really, I don't even, I think I knew one lady who was here, like you could count her as expat, but most of the people I know are the Zambians or the foreigners who really live here. And that's what I mentioned was very different from Uganda, and this is what I actually love about Zambia, because I was
But are
tired
there
being
many
like
foreigners
part
in
of the
Zambia?
expat lifestyle.
Yes. And are there many foreigners who are living permanently in Zambia?
Well, I don't know the numbers. I think they're there. I think they are a good number, but I don't think it's like that much as compared to other countries. Also, Zambia is a huge country, but the population is not that big. So it's around 16 million. So Uganda is like a tiny country and the population is over 30 million, and Zambia is many times bigger. So it's one of the countries with low population density. So yeah, I think that maybe contributed to it as well.
Yeah, because I never met anyone. I just saw one Russian girl. I think she's very popular on Instagram. I told you about her. And she's
Yeah.
living there for some time already, but that's all. I never met any foreigners who are living in Zambia. I was trying to search from different countries because it's interesting to listen to the stories, because all the countries are different. And in Africa, each country is like, I think, like a different word, you can say, like a separate country. They're big and they have their own culture, languages. So it was very interesting. And what about the language? I think in Zambia they mainly speak English, so I don't think it's a problem for you. But do you understand some local languages? And does your husband can understand some Czech? Because it's a totally different language for foreigners.
Yeah, so the official language here, and actually same for Uganda, is English. And Zambia has, I think, over like 70 languages, but I would say 5 or 7 main ones. So in the area where we live, it's Bemba, and my husband speaks that. Unfortunately, I don't. I can greet. I know some words, and the challenge is people speak English. So my experience is like when I lived 3 months in Italy, I could speak Italian because people don't speak English. When I lived in Tanzania, I could speak Swahili because people don't speak English. But here in Zambia, people speaking English, and it's really hard. And even our son, like his first language is like 100% English. Then he speaks Czech and Bemba, I think like 1 or 2 words, because also people automatically start speaking to us in English.
Yeah, that's one thing. You can't really learn language if everyone speaks it the same. Like I'm living in the Netherlands and everyone speaks English here. That's why my Dutch is not that great, because I can't practice it. So people themselves, they prefer speak English. It's kind of, they see that I'm a foreigner. It would be easier for me, but I think it also has advantage and disadvantage, because you can't really practice the local language this way. And your husband, does he
Yeah,
understand Czech? Little bit?
like few words, like just few words I taught him, but yeah, that's it. And especially he never visited Czech Republic, so and it's I would say Czech is not one of those worldwide languages for him to learn. So,
Of course,
but
but
he knows few
still.
words.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of similar words in our languages in Russian and Czech. I'm sure you would understand a lot of Russian if, because words are particularly the same. And it's kind of funny. I heard that some Russian words have totally different meaning in Czech, and it's kind of sometimes come in some funny situations, like when they use some word and it has different meaning. So, but are you planning to visit Czech Republic sometime with your family?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, like one day it will happen. It's just now like the traveling was complicated because of the COVID, and Zambia was on the list of the black countries. I have no idea why, because we had completely normal life here and there was no disaster happening regarding COVID. But actually, like Zambians, they were not getting any visas. Even like if you are a spouse, there were no visa given, but now it has opened. So I am sure one day it will happen.
Yes, for sure, because your country is also very beautiful. I have never been there, but I really want to see, especially some smaller places. I'm not a person who like very touristic cities. I prefer to see something really remote and not very popular, but it's really amazing. I think they should see it. Your husband should see from where you came. And also one question I would like to ask you about work. How difficult for the expats to find a job in Zambia? Because I can see that it's easier from the point that everyone speaks English, so you don't need to learn some extra languages. But is it difficult still to find a job if you are expat?
Yeah, I think it's not that easy, or maybe it depends on the sector. So probably if you are a businessman who is into mining, because we have lots of mines, especially the copper mines, especially where we live. If you are a businessman, you want to do your own business and you have like enough investment, I think it might be easier because generally like the government is like open for like collaboration and so on. For me, I used not anymore, but I used to work for NGOs, so it's like a different sector. On that side, I think it's not that easy because Zambia is a country which is luckily for Zambians, there are no big disasters. Like Zambia never had a war. It's very peaceful country. So like those people who do humanitarian work or development, like there are more jobs like in countries like South Sudan or Kenya, Ethiopia. So for that, Zambia is not, I think I was very lucky to get the job. So for that are not that many opportunities, and especially the recent years, I think as also many other African countries, like the focus is on like really trying to give the jobs to Zambians. So if there is some foreigner coming, like it really, like there is a lot of scrutiny if it's really important that the position should be done by a foreigner, and why should it not be done by Zambian, which is a good thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there are a lot of future in many African countries that are developing very fast. I was really amazed how beautiful is Rwanda. It was like I saw the capital, and what impressed me the most that it's so clean, and they really take care of that. So every month, all people go out and they just clean, take away the rubbish, and you will not find any single rubbish on the street. It was really amazing, and I think I don't know if you've ever been to Rwanda.
No, it's on my list as well, but I know some people who live in Rwanda, and this is, I hope other countries can get inspired from there, because also like Rwanda has a tough, very, very tough history, and they have gone through very difficult things. But it's great that on some levels, like they are really leading, like how some things
That's
can
why
be.
I was surprised. I know about the history. It's a very sad chapter. Yes, but what they did, what their president could do for the country, of course, it's a small country. It's easier to do it than in some big countries. But I think it's a great initiative to keep it clean. That people are very conscious about cleanness, and many African countries are changing so fast. And I think it's maybe in the future people will come for work to Africa, because I think it has a lot of future, especially in our times. I think everything is changing, yeah, very fast. And I would like to ask you if you had a traditional Zambian wedding when you got married, because African weddings are really amazing. It's so cheerful. Everyone is dancing, a lot of music, and you said that you love Zambian music. So how did you get married? I think the most of the population in Zambia are probably Christians, as I know.
Yeah, yes. Zambia, they say it's a Christian nation, so most of the people are Christian. But I'm afraid I will disappoint you on this question because we had a wedding and we did not have a religious wedding. So our wedding was actually very small. It was amazing. I always joke that it was so good because there was no family members. Because you know how is it like when you have to invite like every single auntie and uncle, like it creates lots of tension. So for us, it was just about 10, 15 of our friends. So we got married at the council, we took some photos, and then we made a braai, which is a barbecue, at our house. And it was also the first birthday of our son, so we celebrated his birthday, and it was really nice. And I mentioned the braai, which is a barbecue, and it's something which every Zambian loves. So anytime there is holidays or Christmas or some event, people like gather and they make barbecues, and that's where the music plays, and that's when you get the drinks.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's actually, I think, dream of many girls to have small weddings, because in some countries in Africa as well, there are a lot of people attend the wedding and a lot of guests whom you don't even know. Probably everyone can come. Yeah, I think it's the best just to keep the most closest friends and relatives. And how are your relation with the relatives of your husband? Did they accept his choice immediately? I don't know how is it in Africa. I think it's not the same like in some Eastern countries, because it can be very difficult for the family accept the fact that their son is married someone from a totally different culture. How it was in your case?
Yeah, so again, here it's not a typical example because the parents of my husband, they passed away a long time ago, and his family is very small, and they are not a visiting family. So actually, like, I know some of the siblings, but we don't visit, like they're in touch together, they talk over the phone, WhatsApp, but we don't really visit. Which sometimes, like some of my Zambian girlfriends would tell me that I'm so lucky because there is often lots of intervention from the relatives to the couple. So it's on that side it can be advantage. What is disadvantage is it's basically like three of us, and I miss sometimes my mother here because we cannot go out in the evening alone because we have our son, so we have to go out, three of us. So it means like also different kind of going out. So in some ways it's more difficult. Some ways maybe it's an advantage, also looking like how some friends are having issues because of the relatives.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it is with our family.
Yeah, I can understand you very well, because we are also living, okay, we are living in a third country and we don't have anyone here. So when you have children, it's kind of difficult. You can't really go anywhere. You always have to take your kids with you. But I know some people simply leave kids at home, but it's not our case. So we never left them alone or something, and it's not even allowed here. So of course you miss the family. It's kind of, it's sad when there is no family members around, and especially grandparents who can play with their grandchildren.
Yeah, like especially now when our son was born, so it's like when we are in Czech Republic, my son is excited that he's with his grandma and grandfather. Then my sister had the first baby just like 1 month ago, so like it's sad, like I haven't seen them. My son didn't see his cousin, so yeah, this is a bit sad, but yeah, what can we do? That's the life. Yeah.
Of course, you can visit each other, yeah. But how does your son feel in Czech Republic? Because it's like it's interesting to see. I see my children when we go to India, they're always surprised why there are so much rubbish everywhere, why people don't clean, and they're kind of shocked. For them, it's like they're missing the Netherlands because it's clean here, it's nice, no one throw anything. And how does your son feel when you go with him to Czech Republic?
Yeah, I think he's still quite small. He will be 3 this year, so it's he's always super excited because of like the new things and the new toys. And in Czech Republic we have lots of playgrounds, which again is one thing I miss here. Like the playgrounds are not really here, so he's excited about these things. So, and he loves watching like all the different cars and the trucks and stuff, which also he can watch them here. But Even if we live in a big town, our house look more like a village setup. So it's different because my parents, they live in a block of flats in a town. There is like lots of cars. So yeah, I think he's still small, but every time we are there, he's excited. But then he's also excited when he comes back home.
Yes, yes, but still, even he is little, but of course he noticed the differences, and there are some different. My kids also, when they were little, maybe they were not so shocked about these things, but now I see that they really get like question us first of all why it is like that, why people don't care about the environment. But this is the main question they always ask us, but it's kind of difficult to explain why it is like that. And yes, I would like also to ask you about Zambians. What do you think, according to you, make them different than other nationalities? If we talk about Zambian men, which qualities would you just mention? What are the main qualities of Zambian men? Of course, you can't say about everyone, but I think there are some qualities which are really like common. What would you say? What would you?
Yeah, so what I love like on my husband, and I think it's lots of men are like similar, that they laugh a lot, like they are very optimistic. They dress nicely. Like when I came to Zambia, like I was like, what's going on? Like of course I'm talking about men in towns. It's different in the villages, and Zambia has huge differences between villages and towns. But if you are in a city, like the men, like they will have a nice shirt, nice trousers, clean shoes. We were always making fun with my Czech friends, like when you are in a shopping mall in Zambia and there is one person who is wearing shorts and flip-flops, like the chances are he's either from Czech Republic or from Europe or from the US, because sometimes most of the cases they wouldn't dress like that. And I think they're also very good in talking to women. Here I was comparing a bit maybe to Czech Republic, when the men are more shy, and Zambians are very confident. They know how to talk. They know how to give compliments, which on one side it can be also a bit tricky. First African country, and you don't know how the things are. You might trust every man and what they are telling you, right? Because you will be hearing how you are beautiful, how you will have like beautiful body, how amazing you are, and of course it's nice to hear it, but also you have to take it with a pinch of salt and not fall for the first one who tells you, because you will have lots of men telling you that.
Yeah, so now I noticed also even in Europe that African men, I don't know if it's really common in all African countries or maybe in some particular, that they really take care of themselves. They always dress very nicely, like white shorts. They always use deodorant. They really take care of themselves. It's kind of very important. And women, of course, for them, it's like they wear this colorful dresses. I'm very impressed. I don't know if you wear traditional clothes. I love African clothes. It's so beautiful. It's so colorful. And also I think African people, they are very cheerful people, because they always smile. They're always in a good mood. You will not find someone who is just complaining all the time, like many Europeans, like that their life is so difficult, prices went up, but in Africa life is much more difficult, but they don't complain. I think they're still happy, they still smile all the time. That's what I love about Africans.
Yeah, this is so inspiring. And as I said, like I lived in the refugee settlement. I used to work with the refugees, and this was so inspiring, because I would speak to people who had to like pack their few things, walk, I don't know, 500 kilometers, like to a completely different country. They have gone through horrible things, yet they still had like the strength to smile and like hope that the next day will be better. And I think this is what we can really learn from, because like looking objectively in Europe, we have everything, but how many people are unhappy, how many people are complaining. With my husband, like he would have so many more things to complain about as compared to me, but the only things he complained about is that I am complaining. And I think I improved a lot since I have been living in Africa, and I think now I complain very little, but like it's still like a big difference compared to the approach of people here towards the challenges, towards the difficulties in life.
Yes, of course. We indeed need to learn from them because they really know how to enjoy life. We Europeans, I think we don't really know that. Because I hear all the time that people are not happy about the small things. I think in Africa, people wouldn't even care about it. It's like nothing for them. They have major problems. Like people still die from hunger, but we are complaining that the price of something rise with €1 more, and it's like nothing, I think. Yeah, that's actually sad. But I think we learn good things, and I'm sure when we live somewhere, we learn from local people. And I heard from many girls that they became more relaxed, more happy when they live like in some Eastern countries and African countries, because it's totally different lifestyle. You're not in a hurry all the time. Here we are always in a hurry. Like we have to do this, and they're relaxed, they're enjoying really. And this is what I like.
Yeah. Yeah, when I now like I'm still like sometimes it can drive me crazy like that something is not happening and people are relaxed about it. But still, when I come to Czech Republic, everything is stressing me there because it's so stressful how people pressure you. And I'm like, it's not really important. Why you are getting so worked up about this thing which is not even important? So like kind of when I go back, I have the reverse culture shock because people get stressed about things I don't think about stressing anymore.
Yes, that's true. But I want to ask you, because you are living away from your country for a long time, and I'm also one of these people. How do you feel yourself when you go back home? Because I noticed one thing, I don't know, maybe you don't have this thing, but when I went to Russia this time, like I just came back recently, I felt like I'm a tourist. I don't know, really. It's like some strange feeling. I'm among my people, but I don't feel that I'm also like one of them. It's like, yes, I came just to see the country. I came to visit my mother. Yes, it's fine, but I don't feel the same how it used to be when I used to live there. Do you have this feeling as well, or how do you feel?
Like I think 100% I can relate. So I go there, I visit my family, friends. It's nice to drink the Czech beer. It's nice to eat the food. It's nice to go for a hike, but still I feel kind of as out of place. And I think many of us who live abroad, we feel exactly the same because I haven't been living in Czech Republic. I think it will be more than 12 years. So it's many things, many problems people have. I don't really relate to it. I don't think it's that important. I have other problems. So it's Czech Republic is a beautiful country, but honestly, right now I can't imagine living there.
Yes, the same for me. You know, I started missing home. I want to go back. I'm missing smiling faces. Because in Russia, you can't walk just and smile. People will think that, okay, something is wrong with her. But that's what I'm missing the most. I'm missing that everyone say me, hello, how are you doing? Have a nice day. In Russia, no one will do that if you don't know you. Of course, I'm just talking about strangers on the street. And I miss these things.
It's the same. In Czech Republic, like here in Zambia, like you enter wherever, you said, hello, how are you doing? You have how is the family, even if you don't know the people. And once I did it in the supermarket in Czech Republic, so I came there in Czech, said, hello, how are you? And the person looked like she wanted to call police. I was like, oh my God, like that's, I mean, she didn't call police, but that's how she looked, like frightened, because you're supposed to say hello and not talk. So yes. I think similar in Russia. Yeah.
Yes, I think some things are very similar in Russia and in Czech Republic. People, I don't think that people really smile and they talk to you if they don't know you. It's not a common thing. That's what I really miss. I'm also living in European country. It's not really East or Africa, but still people here are friendly, and they always say hello. They always wish you have a nice day, and that's nice. I really like it. And I miss
Yeah,
this thing.
I think it might be also because of the history. Yeah, Czech Republic, we had the communism for 40 years. We were part of the Eastern Bloc, and at that time, even like me, I was born like a year before the regime fell. But still, I think it's still like deep down somehow, like because at that time people were scared if you say something, somebody will say it somewhere, and all this fear, like living in a like basically dictatorship kind of like totality. So
You know, it was the same in Russia. Yeah, people were afraid. Even now, we are afraid to talk. If you say something, you will be in jail. So that is sad reality, but that's true. And you can't really change people. I think it's just our mentality to be like that. When I say that, why Russians don't smile? That's okay, because it's a cold country, and we don't have enough sun. I don't think it's because of that. It's just a Russian mentality that people don't smile. It's not in our culture. It's not because of climate, of course. That's kind of strange.
yeah,
And because
I mean, Mongolia would be a great example. Like it can be up to minus 50 degrees and people are super, super friendly. Yeah.
yeah, and the same in Africa. It's also very difficult life there, but people smile. How can you explain that? It's not the reason, yes, of course. And, and I would like to ask you about your son. You said he's 3 years old, and I would like to ask, in which traditions do you bring him up, and which languages does he speak? You already mentioned it a little bit, but just a little bit in more details.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a mixture if I talk about the cultures. So it's I wouldn't say that we are bringing him up in a Zambian way or a Czech way. We kind of try to do what we think is the best as the parents. And for example, concerning different tradition, like it's a mixture. Actually, I did an interview with a amazing lady. She's from Ukraine. Her husband is from Belarus, and they live in the US. And we were talking about how they their children, and we agreed on that what's beautiful about living in a different country and with different cultures, that you can pick what you like and you can adjust, and you are not bound by like the rigidity of some customs. So for example, like we celebrate Christmas. Christmas we do in a Czech way, so we celebrate on the 24th of December. In Zambia they celebrate on 25th. Like we do the Christmas tree, the presents. I try to cook some traditional Czech Christmas food, even if it's the vegetarian version. But for example, this year I want to try to celebrate Halloween because we have always a lack of things to do. So like there is not so many like opportunities outside. So I just want to create something which my son may enjoy. So we have lots of pumpkins. So it's like I can try to carve a pumpkin and try to make him happy. Last week we were for the first time in a church. That was also like me. I was in a church first time ever when I was like 22 in Africa. Like I come from completely from non-religious family. So we were in a church, like it was some event for kids, so but it was still a new experience for my son, and he was saying, oh, this church, it looks so beautiful and so cute. And so it's a mixture. And for the languages, the first language is in English, and then he speaks Czech. I think now he's becoming really interested in the second language. So he keeps asking me, how do you say this? How do you say that? And like he mixes it then those two languages.
But do you speak Czech with him or English?
Well, my intention was to speak Czech, but actually I find it so difficult because I am in English environment, and now when in the beginning it was mostly in English, and I think most of the Czech he learned from his grandmother when he was in Czech Republic, and it was just really difficult for me because like I felt like my brain will explode, like because I function in English. But now when he speaks a bit more, I noticed also myself, I speak more in Czech, because what was really difficult for me, I would try to say something in Czech, but then he would respond in English. And that's like, I would forget about the Czech, I would just respond in English. But now when he responds in Czech or he puts some Czech words in it, it's becoming like more and more. So definitely I would love him to learn all three languages, English, Czech and Bemba, and maybe it will happen, maybe in a different way than we were expecting.
No, I can understand you really well. It's exactly the same situation with me. I say something in Russian and my kids reply me in English, so it's difficult really to keep a Russian language. So for us, they understand Russian really good, especially my elder son, but they speak mostly English at home. It's like now he's learning. I was surprised to know that he started learning Russian on Duolingo, because he learned how to write, how to read by himself. I was happy to know that, but unfortunately, it's not really okay. When my mother comes, he speaks Russian with them, but they reply you in English again. So again, the same story. They understand, yeah, of course, they understand what she says, but they don't reply in Russian, yeah. And it's difficult to keep your mother tongue if you live like we are living in the third country, so there is also another language. It's even more difficult. So it's like a mixture of languages still, I think. But it's still nice that kids can pick up so many languages, and in the end they speak fluently, like at least few languages.
Yeah, like sometimes I get impressed, like my son, he comes and he says some words, then maybe I can't understand, and then I realize what he's saying. It's like, how did he know these words in Czech? And yeah.
Yeah, but which languages do they learn at school in Zambia? English and plus local?
No, the school he goes, it's English. So for the first 7 grades, like we use the British system, so the primary, like the grade 1 to 7, it's supposed to be in the villages, it's supposed to be in the local language, but we are in town, and he goes, like now he goes to nursery, so it's in English, because there are kids like Zambian kids, kids from India, kids from Mauritius, mixed kids, like all the different, like half Russian kids, I know. So yeah, it's English.
English. But do they learn local languages as well, or it's only English?
Like or in the schools, like in the local ones, like they do, like it's supposed to be in the local language.
Ah, okay. And at what age kids actually start going to school?
I think the usual like 6. In the villages, they often go later because of the schools like are maybe far, so they cannot send the small kid like walking 5 kilometers, or the parents, even if the first 7 years are like there are no school fees, they still need to buy the school uniforms or some exercise books. So like in the villages, sometimes the kids start late, but officially I think it should be around 6.
Oh, okay, so it's not like in Europe, because I was really surprised. I think in Czech Republic, maybe it's the same like in Russia. The kids go at 6, 7. But here I was really surprised. When I used to live in Belgium, kids go to school already 2.5, 3 years old. It's like, I was shocked. They're so little still. Why to go to school? And they stay at school until 3 o'clock. It's like the whole day, and they're so little, tired. Some of them need to sleep during the day, and I found it really crazy.
Yeah. No, for us it's well, in Zambia they call everything school. So he goes to nursery, we call it like he goes to school, but he goes like from 8 to 12 only, like so it's really a nursery. Then he comes back home. So I wouldn't want him to start like really school before he is supposed to start, so he should be playing instead.
Yes, no, it's not really school, but still, for example, if child starts when he's 3 years old and they don't put them to sleep, and some kids need to sleep, and they're also cranky, tired, and you have to be there until 3. I found it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yes, I was really surprised. Yeah, why this so early? What is the urge to send kids so early? Here, at least, it's at 4, 5. You can send at 5 even if you want, especially if your child knows the language already, so it's not a problem. I think 5 is maybe the right age, but not 3. And I would like to ask you about Zambian cuisine. I don't know anything at all. You already mentioned one dish, and I think I heard about it because it's very popular in South Africa. I heard from my friends who are living there that it's how did you call it? Bray? This barbecue?
No, no, the braai, the braai.
Yes, I think it's very popular dish in South Africa. But what is your favorite, let's say, dish in Zambian cuisine? Do you cook mainly Zambian food, and does your husband like Czech, maybe some Czech dishes which you cook at home?
Yes.
How it is in your family?
Yeah, so again, we are maybe not typical in this because me, I love eating, but I don't enjoy cooking. And my husband is, I think, maybe typical Zambian in like maybe how often he eats just once a day, and he doesn't care how the food looks as far as it's filling. So the national Zambian food is shima, which is kind of same as in Uganda they have ugali, in Tanzania they have in Tanzania they have ugali, in Uganda they have posho. It's all the same thing. It's that kind of white looking porridge from the maize. You eat it with hands, and then you have different sauces. So generally Zambia, like they don't use any spices. Sometimes they put chili somewhere, but basically it's just salt. So you have this white shima which does have not even salt, so it's just really the maize cooked to a like thick porridge. And then you have different meat, and then lots of different types of vegetables. I'm vegetarian, so I won't talk about the meat because I don't even know about it. But like in Zambia, like they cook lots of different like vegetables, like the leaves from the sweet potatoes, the leaves from the pumpkin, the amaranth leaf, the like Chinese cabbage, normal cabbage, like all these kind of vegetables, like which are super tasty. And I love in Sima, like Zambian food, of course, the vegetarian version. And I used to cook it when I lived in the refugee settlement. My Zambian friend, she taught me how to cook it, and we used to eat together. So I love eating it. I used to cook it even. Now these days, we eat at home maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Then it's my husband coming because honestly, he has a whole life of experience and he's better in it than me. So I usually cook the other dishes like pasta, rice, potatoes. I don't really cook, I cook soups. That's the typical thing from Czech, but I'm also the only one who eats it. So when I cook rice or some pasta, like there are some dishes my husband likes to eat, but he doesn't eat. Like if I put somewhere broccoli, he won't eat it. So like our eating is not that great. Like often like we eat very simple things. My husband, he can really eat like rice and milk and sugar for dinner. Yesterday for dinner I had fried eggs. And it's kind of funny because like I said, like I was always attracted to Asia, and I think my favorite food is like Chinese, Thai, Indian. Like I love all these like different spices, and I end up in a country where they actually use no spice. But I still love the Zambian food, but it's like uncomparable. Like if you have a Thai dish or a Chinese dish.
Yes, I can understand. And so your husband is not picky, really picky about food, so he can practically eat anything, any type
as far
of
as
food.
it's not the broccoli and some, as he call it, white food, like food for white people, which we make fun of it. Yeah, but he can eat really like simple things.
But I want to ask you, because you said that you're vegetarian, and I got an impression that in Africa people eat a lot of meat. Is it easy to be a vegetarian in African country? Of course, there are vegetables, I can understand, but still they cook a lot of meat. Most of their dishes, they have meat.
Yeah, but the good thing about shima is that it's not mixed together, so you can always just eat the vegetables, or also you can eat beans, or we cook with shima sometimes like a soya chunks, the soya meat. So it's not that difficult, and as I said, like I can eat anything as far as it's like vegetarian. Even I remember when I said I'm moving to Mongolia, people will be like, were like, how are you going to survive in Mongolia as vegetarian? And I was actually writing article about being vegetarian in Mongolia yesterday, and it was not that difficult. So if you are not like super picky, I think it's you can survive everywhere. If you are willing to adjust, if you are not like hang up on certain things, like what I was saying in Mongolia, if you don't speak Mongolian, sometimes it's difficult. People don't speak so much English. So I would go with my Mongolian friend, or I told them to write me on a paper, like, please give me something vegetarian. So I wouldn't care what is it, as far as it's not no meat in it. So I'm not so picky. I can really eat everything as far as it's vegetarian.
Yeah, because I find it difficult even for my husband when he's also vegetarian. When we went to Russia, it's like if you go to the restaurant and if you ask, do you have something vegetarian? They say, yes, we have fish. I say, no, fish is not a vegetarian food. Okay, we have salad. That's all. It's like you can't survive on salad. They don't really have it. It's not in our culture. People eat a lot of meat still because it's a cold country. It's difficult to survive, but I find it kind of difficult to find a lot of vegetables also. In Africa, at least, you probably have a lot of choice. You can get a lot of vegetables. Here, it's like only limited choice.
Yeah, but also what might be similar, like Russia and Mongolia, is when we were in the remote places. There you don't even have restaurants. So like the people who were like with whom we were working, they would kind of prepare some food for us. So we told like they told them, oh, there is one colleague, she doesn't eat meat, and in most of the cases they prepare me the traditional like Mongolian food in the vegetarian version. So it's sometimes it needs a bit of adjustment and like, but it was never a problem. Like really, like I even cook the. We talk about Russian food. I cook sometimes here the borscht, the soup, the vegetarian one.
Yeah.
So it's possible, or even in the piroshki in Mongolia, they used to make them with cabbage, I think, for me. So
Yeah. Yes, exactly. My mother also, she cooked vegetarian borscht for my husband, or you can just put some, I don't know, we eat a lot of potatoes in Russia, so of course you can also eat potatoes. But in general, it's not in our culture, unfortunately, so it's not a big choice. I remember one time my friend asked me, I'm going to Turkey. How will I survive there? Because I'm vegetarian. I say, come on, there are so many vegetarian dishes in Turkey. It's like, I don't know, much more than in Russia, so you will survive.
yeah.
And she was really surprised how many vegetarian dishes she could try, and it's so delicious. So I think it's possible to survive. If you want, you will find something. If you're not picky, of course. If you are picky, then it's
Yeah,
difficult.
if you are picky, it might be tough. And also, what I do, it's like, especially in Thailand, also like I love eating from the street. Like when I see some street food, I am there, even in Africa. And so, example, like in Thailand, I found it difficult, like because I'm pretty sure they put the fish sauce everywhere. So sometimes I try to
Yes.
explain, and as far as if they put some sauce and it doesn't taste like meat and I don't know about it, I'm not going to go crazy about it. I will just eat the food as far as I don't know about it and if I don't feel it. So yeah, if somebody is really like, I think being vegan would be more difficult,
Yes.
but vegetarian, yeah, it's okay. And there are
Yeah.
always eggs everywhere.
Yeah, even now I see in Europe a lot of choice of even vegetarian burgers. You will find so many types. I think it was never like that, but now I see a really, really huge choice. And last question I would like to ask you, which I ask all the girls because I think it's a very important question, and everyone has its own experience. what would you recommend to the girls who are in a relationship with African men, in order to prevent maybe misunderstandings or any problems in future? How to understand that man is serious? Because in every country there are some differences which you should actually know. What would you recommend to the girls? I would not say Zambian men, let me say African men, because I think there are some common things between them.
Though sometimes it's difficult to generalize, but I would say my number one red flag would be if the man, like if you are dating, you're in the beginning of the relationship, and if the man is expecting you to pay, that I think is a first red flag. Because I can't imagine any Zambian woman who would go on a date and the guy would ask her to pay. Like, that would never happen. Like now, me just, I would go out with friends. They would still pay my food. They would still pay my drinks. They would pay my tax. Even we were not dating. So if you come here and you like some guy and then you go out and he's expecting you to pay, then I would be like, something is wrong here. And it's not about like, we should never pay as women. Now things are changing, like even like the younger couples, maybe they share half-half. But really, like if there is somebody who just expects you to pay, then I think it's not a good sign. And of course, then in the relationship, when you are in the relationship, like it's not like the man pays everything. You don't have to be stuck in the traditional way that the man has to pay everything and make sure that you have money for everything. It's not like that, but you need to see like that the man is serious and that like he's investing in the relationship. I mean, not investing only with money, but also like with the commitment, and like really shows you that he's serious.
Yeah, and I think for many women it's opposite when they are dating Western men, at least for Russian women. Because I don't know how it is in Czech Republic, but in Russia, women are used that men should always pay for them. It's kind of strange if a guy say, okay, you have to pay your part and I have to pay my part. So they get offended. How is it possible? You invited me. Why should I pay for myself?
Yeah, I think I already also grow up in that way in Czech Republic, that it was kind of common that if you go for a date, maybe he pays once, then you pay or you share the bill. But yeah, not here in Zambia, especially like on the first date. I remember in the beginning in the relationship with my husband, like he was paying everything.
Yes. Yeah, I see some question, but I think some people, they missed most of our conversation, and I already asked you about the climate, how you adjust to it. I think they can watch it again if they're interested. And last thing I would like to ask you, because you already mentioned it, did Zambia change you in somehow in any way? What do you feel that maybe something really changed in you? You said that you already not you're not in a hurry. You know how to enjoy life because people are here. They're more relaxed. But is there something else what changed in you during these years?
Yeah, so a part of that, like that, I am much more relaxed and I don't get crazy about things which are not that important. I think it's also the kind of admiration, like for people like who have hard life, like either in the villages when sometimes you are like wondering, did something change from the independence? Because still like the people are very poor, and also with the refugees, and especially like then there is the big talk in the refugee crisis in Europe, and people are so scared of refugees, yet majority of the refugees, they are not going to Europe or to the US. Like, for example, like from the African conflicts, like most of the refugees are in Africa. And like me being able to work with the people and seeing what they have gone through, we can't even imagine what these people have gone through. Like what I also learned, like working with refugees, was that we have all these stereotypes that they are coming to Europe just to get some free money and this, but these are people who are running from war. They have lost everything. And in my experience, most of them, they want one thing. They want to be able to work so they can support their family.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was like, yeah, a huge experience for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I see a lot of refugees from different countries, and unfortunately, they are not treated the same way. What that really makes me feel sad. Yeah, because they run away not because the life was great from their own country. Of course, you prefer to stay in your country,
Yeah.
like to live with your family. There was something, there was war or something else. Why they run away, and to treat them like that, I see in how they're treated in many European countries. It really makes me cry. Really, it's really sad because their life is indeed pretty difficult, and they're away from their families. Many of them just can't even see them, and it's really. And I wish they would treat it equally. At least all refugees would treat it equally, but it's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zuzana, I would like to thank you for this wonderful conversation. It was very interesting to listen to you, to know more about African countries. I think I would love to see you again to talk more about it because I think it's very important topics and people don't know much about Africa. Many people have never been there and they have a lot of stereotypes and they're not actually the right ones, and it's not that's not what people think about Africans, about life there. It can be totally different. So I would like to thank everyone who were watching us. I saw a lot of people. That's really nice. If you have any questions for Zuzana, you can always ask her or write the comments. And I would like to invite you to follow her account. It's very interesting. It's amazing thing what she's doing for women who are in intercultural relations. So I'm sure you will find a lot of useful information, and maybe you can also have a lovely talk with her because she's also organizing a very interesting live session. So you are welcome to join all the girls who are in intercultural relations, please. And I really hope to see you again. And thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I know you're a very busy person. So I really appreciate that you found time for me today.
No, thank you for inviting me. It was super interesting. And as you said, if anybody has any question, I will also look through some of the comments and try to respond. And yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, same here, and I wish you a wonderful day ahead, and I hope to meet you again. I will surely invite you. If you have time for me to maybe just to have a joint interview with other girls, because it's very interesting to listen like different stories. I'm sure we will have a lot of fun. Thanks again.
Thank you. Looking forward. Bye.
Sure, take care. Bye-bye.